Hi, I'm Angelyn Marti, and today we'll be talking about Zora Neale Hurston's Their Eyes Were Watching God. I'll be going over three main points today. The first one being the theme of nature throughout the novel, as well as the extended metaphor of the pear tree. And finally, we'll be ending with the power dynamic of men and women in marriage and how Janie's three marriages represent the past, present, and future of that. Janie's connection with nature continues throughout the whole novel until the climax at the very end when a hurricane hits, and this is kind of the first time that Janie ignores nature's signs with the Native Americans and the animals fleeing to high ground, and she chooses to ignore their precautions because I believe she's blinded by the love of tea cake. She finally gets this sort of marriage picture that she's always wanted. Tea cake treats her as an equal, and although there's beating and cheating, she still can't let go of this kind of bubble that she's in, and unfortunately nature is going to destroy that bubble. Now, all three of Janie's marriages, she's lost herself, but the one with tea cake, she is the most herself because she's treated how she's always wanted to be treated. She's treated as an equal. She gets to work and not under anybody else's circumstances. Besides the beating and the cheating, she's treated the way she wants to be treated. I'd like to analyze her three marriages as a whole, starting with Logan Killick's. I believe that Logan Killick's represents the past of marriages between women and men, because in the past, women, they had arranged marriages. They didn't marry for love, and Janie didn't marry for love in this case. She hated every second of her marriage, her first marriage. It wasn't at all what she had this idea of marriage to be, which is very sad, but unfortunately that was the case for many women in the past, this being in Hurston's timeline. Now we move on to Jo Stark's, which is, again, in Hurston's timeline, this is her present. In this time, women are starting to get jobs, but it's still a very male-dominated world. So we see Janie working in the store, but Jody still has this power over her. He takes away her freedom, and that's how a lot of society was in Hurston's time. A lot of women couldn't go for a lot of opportunities that men could go for. Fortunately for Hurston, she was able to be so accomplished and have these opportunities because she was brilliant. No one could deny her brilliance. But for Janie, she had to be conformed in this box that Jody set for her, which is very sad. And I think Hurston wanted to emphasize how terrible it was, and hopefully women at the time reading this book could kind of awaken themselves. Maybe I shouldn't be treated the way Janie was treated. And finally, tea cake, I believe, represents the future, or Hurston's future, of the dynamic between men and women, because Janie's finally seen as an equal, and here our time, I believe women are treated as equal somewhat in some cases, but they're given more opportunities. And although her marriage isn't perfect with tea cake, she's still, again, beaten, and he cheated on her. Unfortunately, there are men that are still going to do that, and women. So that's why I believe that these three marriages represent the past, present, and future, because they're three very different marriages, three very different times in Janie's life, and it just can't, I don't think it can go unsaid why this was three marriages instead of 4 or 5. In conclusion, Their Eyes Are Watching God has many layers to it that I cannot put in a 3 to 5 minute video, but it's because of Hurston. You can really tell her writing style. I've never read a book by her before until Their Eyes Were Watching God, and I can tell by the attention to detail. It's very, I can see where Toni Morrison gets her influence from. I could totally see her in this, but I really liked it, and I could go into way more detail of every single thing she puts in this book. Everything symbol, I think, she put in there for meaning. There's nothing in this book that she didn't put in there for a reason. So yeah, thank you so much for listening.